So now, please allow me to officially kick off the 2012 Fast Track to Copywriting Success Bootcamp and Job Fair with our keynote speaker, Brian Kurtz. I have more to say. I have a little bit more to say about Brian. In addition to being one of the nicest people you could ever meet, Brian is the Executive Vice President of Boardroom Inc. For the past 31 years, he's been the driving force behind Boardroom's marketing efforts, helping them become the $100+ million a year newsletter and book publisher they are today. Brian's influence spans all aspects of direct marketing, including the list industry, the U.S. Postal Service, the Newsletter Publishers Association, Direct Marketing Association. The list really goes on. Brian is passionate about direct marketing education, having served as a trustee on the Direct Marketing Educational Foundation. He told me recently that he feels he has an obligation to be part of the process to bring the next generation of great copywriters forward. And that's what he's going to be doing here tonight. Please join me in giving Brian a big AWAI welcome.
I'm honored. I feel privileged to be here on so many levels. But first, know that I am not a copywriter. I have no intention of hiring any of you anytime ever. No, I'm just kidding. I am not a copywriter, but I guess one of the things that I've been able to do over 30 years is to, I know good copy when I see it. And there are actually speakers coming tomorrow and in the days ahead, even from the client side, where I'm coming from, that are much better at copywriting and copywriting skill than I am. That's not what I do. I don't really know what I do. I spend a lot of time on committees and doing other things. So sometimes I have a real job. But I really, I'm so passionate about the business as a whole. And it's direct marketing. It's not direct mail. It's not internet marketing. It's not, well, it's all still direct marketing. Interestingly, just recently I bought, I did an event with an online copywriter. Anybody here know who John Benson is? Clayton will probably talk about him, one of the best video sales letter writers out there. And we did an event at Boardroom with John Benson. And right after the event, it was a $2,000 closed door type event. We had about 50 people. We had some of the best copywriters in the world there, plus a couple of slouches like I see Paris is here. So we had some really good, we had some other good copywriters there. And afterwards, I had to drive to the city that night. On the way home, I immediately bought 2 URLs. After seeing, because I had a lot of direct mail copywriters in the room, I had a lot of people who had just done online copy, and they were all equally jazzed about what was going on. And this was about video. This was it was very tactical, but I was looking and I'm thinking to myself that the more things change, the more they stay the same. And so I bought 2 URLs, in my car. I called my IT guy on the way to the city, and I bought it's all directmarketing.com. So someday I'll have an event, and I'm going to invite all of you if Katie will give me her list. And the other one is onlineofflinedirect.com. And if there's one good takeaway I want you to get tonight is that I'm not here to talk about any one channel. I'm here to talk about that if you're a good copywriter, you'll be able to write for any channel, any product. And I'll give you some insights as to how I think I got. I tell you, I said where I got to. Well, if I was a copywriter, I'd be making a lot more money. So anyway, and by the way, I'm sold. I'm going to copywriting school based on what Katie just told me. And Paul Hartunian also says, anybody know who Paul Hartunian is? He's the guy who sold the Brooklyn Bridge. I'll tell you that story someday. Paul Hartunian always said, it's not about how much money you make. Money doesn't buy you happiness. Money buys you freedom, and freedom buys you happiness. And I think Katie indicated that. So anyway, it's all still direct marketing, or how a 30-year veteran in direct marketing can still justify his existence. So, I'm hanging out. I've spent the last couple of years, in fact, I'm really pleased to see as much gray hair here, because you're going to get some of my jokes that the last few places I've spoken, they had no idea what I was talking about. I had references to All in the Family. I had movies from the 1980s. Wow, 80s. And they couldn't even who the hell is this guy? Dinosaur City, right? So anyway, I'm really pleased. You're going to get a lot of my jokes. And it's a high-energy room. So and if you don't laugh, you can leave now. OK. So my thesis is the best online marketing techniques being practiced today all have their roots in traditional direct marketing practices. Now, there is a caveat there, and I'm learning this over the last couple of years, and that is, we also, in my company, I'm a serial direct marketer. I mean, I throw out a package in the mail, I get this many responses, and I make this much money, and I spent this much money, and it either worked or it didn't, and I go on to the next one. Well, that world has changed, right? We all know that world has changed. There's this thing like Facebook. I'm not on it. I heard it's big. But the idea that everything that you're going to do online is going to have an immediate return on investment is sort of, makes serial direct marketers throw up in their mouths. So you have to be, that was disgusting before dinner or after dinner? So I want to be careful and not sort of condemn new marketing and praise old marketing or vice versa. That's not what I'm up here to talk about. But there's been such a blending and things are changing so quickly that I really feel like it is my responsibility to kind of teach the past. And the more I go to online marketing type conferences where no one gets my jokes, they still like the material, and then I learn so much because they're giving me back. They're kind of saying, yeah, that makes sense for what I'm doing. And I've learned so much by teaching over the last couple of years, and it's phenomenal. So I encourage you to hang out with people who are a lot younger than you. Okay. So anyway, direct marketing, deliverable and measurable advertising. Notice the D and the M, it's really cool. But I used to have this slide. It used to say accountable and measurable advertising. And the word accountable, I started thinking that, I want people in my life to be accountable. I don't know if I want my marketing necessarily to be accountable, but I do want it to be deliverable, whether it's email or direct mail or TV. I want it to be aired, and I want it to be measurable. And measurable has changed because of the internet. So I always say, shouldn't everything we do in business be deliverable and measurable? And shouldn't our personal lives have some aspect of deliverability and measurement? So my talk will be in 3 parts, and we'll be here till about 11:30. Okay. So first is my deliverable and measurable business secrets. Then I have my deliverable and measurable direct marketing secrets, and I will mention the web thing. That thing is going to catch on. And my deliverable and measurable life secrets, which you will go home so inspired. In fact, my wife and father-in-law are here, and I think when we took that pledge, they thought I was talking to some cult or something, right? You definitely thought that, didn't you? Yeah. They're not. They're just copywriters. Okay, so last time I was in this hotel as a speaker. In fact, my father-in-law was there for that as well. He lives down here. And it was good because it was only like 10 minutes, and he was really happy about that. So when he found out that I might be up here for like more than an hour, he said to my wife, Robin, he said, do we really have to go? So anyway, they gave me ETR, which is Early to Rise. Everybody here know who Early to Rise is? They're a neighborly company. They gave me a Lifetime Achievement Award. This was years ago. What does a Lifetime Achievement Award mean to you? To me, it means you retire or you die. And I've done neither. And I think the reason why I haven't is that while I think every day is becoming more and more challenging in the marketing wars that I'm in, it's also more challenging and exciting than ever before. So it's scary and exciting at the same time. And if I could share some stuff with you tonight from sort of the client side of how we look at marketing, how we look at creative, I think it could be helpful to you as copywriters. So, by the way, everybody know what George Carlin wanted on his tombstone? This is way before he died, actually. George Carlin's one of my favorite. Everybody know who George Carlin is? It's amazing. I'm telling you, they did not know who George Carlin was. One of my favorite comedians. Well, him and Robert Klein? Yeah, okay. So, George Carlin wanted on his tombstone? He was here a minute ago. Okay, so part 1, business secrets. So the first business secret, I already gave it away. When they give you a Lifetime Achievement Award, just get out of the way. Unless you're asked back to hang out in sunny Florida by Katie and by Denise. So I'm here, I'm back on the same stage, and to my father-in-law's chagrin, it's going to be more than 10 minutes. Now, 10 more accounts. I'm going to give you 10 more for a total of 11 because it's one more. What movie am I quoting? I couldn't get one person at ClickBank, which is an online conference, to tell me that was from Spinal Tap. I love this crowd already. You guys are great. Spinal Tap is one of my 11 favorite movies of all time. Business secret number 2. First, find out if you have a business. Now you're all saying, why the hell is this guy on the stage, and what the hell is he talking about? This is one of the most important things you need to know about how businesses get run in a direct marketing environment. Gordon Grossman, who I think you have his book on your chair, it's kind of a memoir. He talks about how much people drank at Reader's Digest. Gordon Grossman was the guy, I won't say he invented sweepstakes, but he was one of the architects of Reader's Digest in the 1960s. This is a guy, he's one of my mentors, one of the most amazing marketers of all time. Just had his 80th birthday, not active at all, doesn't really dig the whole web thing. But he told me very early in my career, first find out if you have business. So what does that mean? You know, you sit in a room, we have a boardroom, right? Great company, everybody's so smart. We sit in a room, we have idea after idea. Brainstorming meetings are like everybody patting each other on the back, right? You're throwing up ideas, everybody's thinking, we can do this, ooh, let's do that, ooh, we can do an upsell, we can do a cross-sell, we can do this, we can do that. And you walk out of the meeting, and what did you really decide? You need to decide if you're looking at a new business venture, and if you're a copywriter and you're getting an assignment, what do you need to learn in that first set of testing to find out if you have a business? And you'd be surprised how so many marketers make the mistake of testing too many things early on instead of the key metrics that they're going to need to say go or no go on a particular business. I have tons of examples of this in my career. Again, if you wanted to stay till 11:30, I would do it with you. I know you don't, but it'd be very interesting and you'd be very stimulated. But I can't emphasize this enough, and that's why it's right up there with retiring and dying after you get a Lifetime Achievement Award. Okay, business secret number 3, nothing is turnkey. Now, we've always said that at Boardroom. You know, you come up with the thing that you're going to do really easy, and we'll get that done, no problem. Paris is looking at me like, God, Brian, remember that time I told you to do high-ticket products in 1984? Right. So nothing is turnkey. Nothing is as easy as it looks. Now, what's I think interesting is that, you know, the career that you're all aspiring to, which I assume is to either be in Italy or work with your slippers on and pajamas, and don't Skype. Don't Skype in pajamas and slippers. I had that once. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. I didn't do it personally. So I think that because the technology is so fantastic that a lot of people would say, Brian, you're old-fashioned. You know, things can be done much quicker now. Everything is turnkey. And I still maintain, because I've been hanging out with a lot of online marketers who are all very successful and who are all making things happen very, very quickly, which is one of their strengths. They're also they're underestimating the steps that it takes, and then they end up doing a job that's half-assed. Business secret number 4, follow the anecdotal evidence. I'm going to give you a quick little case history. I wish we were a $100 million company still, Katie. We were at one time. We were a $150 million company at one time. Now we make like $20,000 a year. No, I'm just kidding. So we went in 1 year from, we were doing about $60 million a year, and we went to $150 million in 1 year. And did anybody ever remember, well, you guys are going to remember this too, this is kind of cool. Do you remember the infomercials with Hugh Downs, Treasury of Health Secrets? Nobody knows what the hell I'm talking about when I go to an online conference. What's an infomercial is usually what they say to me. So what we did was we had, and when I say follow the anecdotal evidence, since I got to Boardroom, early 1980s, when I was 11, when I got to Boardroom in the early 1980s, the thing that I always thought about, because I always wanted to do TV, right? And, you know, everybody wants to do TV, right? You want to put your products on TV. So I was watching, you know, Sports Illustrated give away a football phone, and I'm watching, you know, all these great, and it was kind of a big, in the 1980s, there was a lot of magazines doing direct response television, almost all 2-minute television. And because there was a brand, and this is, you guys know this as copywriters, you know, when you're selling something that already has been branded by someone else that's paid millions and millions of dollars, it's a lot easier than selling something that no one ever heard of, like Bottom Line Personal, or Bottom Line Books, or Bottom Line Health and Treasury of Health Secrets. So I always thought, even in the early 1980s, right when it was the mid-1980s, when Tony Robbins, everybody remember Tony Robbins? Tony Robbins started with Guthrie Renker. He had his big infomercial business. You guys, there are people here that really remember that, right? They're shaking their heads. It's like the best crowd. I'll speak here every year. It's been so frustrating. Like everywhere I speak, it's like they say, "What the hell is this guy talking about?" Right? So anyway, so Tony Robbins is going through the roof. I mean, that was and Guthrie Renker kind of launched, took the infomercial business. The regulations, the FTC had changed the regulations on TV, and I was watching that, and I'm thinking, at the time, I had a book called The Book of Inside Information, which was like Bottom Line's greatest hits. We sold 3 million copies of that book in direct mail. 3 million, hardcover. They're actually they're covered. They have these this paper. It's called paper. And they have these covers, and they're like 600 pages, and people actually bought them for $30, and they were really good. So we sold like 3 million copies of that book. And I kept on saying, and actually Marty Edelstein, our founder, and I met with Bill Guthrie and Greg Renker. They came to our office. And I said, why can't we do the bottom line, personal growth, whatever, making it up, as I go along. And that's why Guthrie and Renker probably don't think I'm boardrooms much of anything. But we tried to make a case that we wanted to be the next Tony Robbins with the bottom line brand. Never got anywhere, but I always thought that, number 10 direct mail short form TV was to name brand magazines as infomercials were to non-branded product and content like ours. So I always wanted to be in the infomercial business. So I went years. We went until 2004. And we never tried the infomercial because I never came up with the concept. So I'm sitting there watching TV one night, and there's Kevin Trudeau selling whatever he was selling. And Kevin Trudeau was an amazing, amazing marketer, but content-wise, that wasn't what I wanted to sell. But I'm looking, he's selling a single book for $29.95. I'm like, how does he do that? So then I call the toll-free number, and then I'm on the phone for an hour and a half with upsells. And I said, that's how he does it. But what I learned is that by following all of that anecdotal evidence, I was able to say how Boardroom was now going to get into the infomercial business. And I was going to sell a single book, and then I was going to do upsells that I was comfortable with and how they were going to do it. I went to all the same vendors that Trudeau was using. I don't want to go into, there's a lot of detail here, but that one idea alone, by just following anecdotal evidence, probably netted Boardroom $200 to $250 million over a 3-year period. And it wasn't genius. I'm no visionary. I was just following the anecdotal evidence. Adolf Auerbacher was also one of my mentors. He was one of the architects at Better Homes and Gardens and Ladies' Home Journal. You guys know those magazines, right? Okay. I always like this quote: he just saw things as they were in the present while others only looked at the past. Now, the people at Ziff Davis were so progressive in the computer area, and this quote is so good because everybody thinks everything's got to be the future, everything's got to be the future. There's so many things right in front of you, and as copywriters, it's not that everything's been invented yet, clearly not. I heard that Apple thinks they invented the 7-inch iPad. Not everything's been invented, but there's so much right in front in the present. Just look at things as they are right here. Business secret number 5: do what you do best, buy everything else around the corner. Dick Benson, another one of my mentors in the direct mail business. This is like teaching me outsourcing at a very young age. Now, again, in today's internet economy and internet marketing, it is cheaper to do a lot of things on your own now than it was. But, it's like merge, purge. Don't do that at home, right? Sushi, don't make that at home, right? So do what you do best and buy everything else around the corner. I think you still have to think about what's best to outsource so you can really focus on the most important things. Just a very important business secret that we followed. And I will say that even with the mistakes that we continue to make and that we have made over the years, it's usually not in the area of we put too much in-house and spend too much money on it in-house. Business secret number 6: where does the money flow? Again, why is this guy on stage, right? You're saying, what? Okay. So where I got this, Adolf Auerbacher used to always say that. We'd be sitting in a meeting talking about some whiz-bang idea that we all have about a new book, a new newsletter, a new whatever, and he would always look at somebody in the room before we walked out, and he said, so where does the money flow? And if there was some dot-coms that did this in 1999 and 2000, you wouldn't have had as big a dot bomb, in my opinion, because nobody thought about this. Now today you can get away with it because they all lost a fortune already, so they've figured out that they have to somehow, at some point, pay the electric bill. So we've been doing this forever, so that you also walk away from ideas this way that may not be, there may be great ideas and you may be patting yourself on the back, but if you don't know where the money's going to flow, you have to really second guess yourself. And continually ask the question, why are you in business beyond profits? Katie did I know the way Katie was talking about, money. And money is really important, all right? I said money doesn't buy you happiness, it buys you freedom, freedom buys you happiness. However, I do know, and I think the copywriters who are the superstars in the room would probably back me up on this, that when it does make a difference when you're writing about something that comes from the heart. And so as a business, when I talk about how are we going to make money, how are we going to make money, how are we going to make money, and then I realize that I got 3 million books of the book, I got Treasury of Health Secrets, I got 2.7 million books into the marketplace because of the infomercial, which we made a lot of money on. The letters that we got back about the person the lives that we saved, of course my list broker always used to say, well, I got you all those names, so I'm saving lives too. Yeah, okay. But we're all saving lives. And you don't have to write, everything you do doesn't have to have altruism built in or have saving the world built in, but boy, it's really good when it is. Really good. It makes you feel so much better. Business secret number 7, life is long. Marty's like 83 now, so he says, Brian, stop using that quote. But it's a takeoff on life is short. You see the same people coming up and the same people coming down. Katie says I'm a nice guy. I'm not a nice guy for the sake of being a nice guy. I'm a nice guy because it's the only way to be. Some of you are going to bug me to try to write for me, and I'm going to be really polite and tell you that you're not ready yet. That's okay. I'm going to do it politely. But early in my career, I was in the list business. A boardroom had in-house list management. So I started in the business as the in-house list manager. So I was basically selling or renting lists to every mailer, many of whom are in the mailers that are coming, all used our list. Our list was the best list. I could sell it to you now. Affluent. Affluent. They're mail order junkies. I could give you the whole thing. Okay. Haven't sold lists in 15 years. But when I was selling lists early in my career, I kept on looking at the other people who were selling lists. And I wanted to see, and I tried to spend as much time with the people who were doing the same thing I was doing, and they wanted no part of me because they couldn't sell to me. If I was a list broker, they could sell to me because then they had to pitch me on their list. But if we're both selling stuff out into the marketplace, I'm kind of in the same place they are. But I made it a point, because Marty taught me this, that first I wanted to see what the competition looked like, and it was really bad. I mean, I was like the best list manager in the world, and the competition was not that stiff, which was really cool. But beyond that, the list managers of 1983 became the list brokers of 1984, became the mailers of 1997, became the dot bombers of 1999, and became the internet marketers of today. So again, it sounds so simple, but as copywriters, as any kind, you're in a vendor situation, you can't afford, and you just can't afford to burn any bridges. And I know I'm preaching to the converted, to everybody here, but this was a really important thing. And also, watch your competition closely. So the other part of it is during your long life, understand Joe Polish. Anybody here know Joe Polish is? He's probably a master, one of the best networkers of all time. He has a thing called the Genius Network. And Dan Sullivan, some people have been in Dan Sullivan's courses, Strategic Coach, has something called unique ability. So I'm going to define what a genius network is. A genius network is an ever-expanding system of increasing cooperation and creativity among unique ability achievers. So what does that mean? What it means is that what Joe teaches is that, you go to Joe Polish's office and there's a picture with Paula Abdul and there's a picture with Bill Clinton, there's a picture with Richard Branson, and it's not as superficial as it looks, I guess is what I'd like to tell you, and it's not. Because what Joe did is that he's figured out that he figures out how he can help people first, doesn't have high expectations on what's going to come back, and you get so much more back that way. That's kind of what the underlying theme is. And as far as unique ability, and this is so critical for you as copywriters, don't just do copywriting because it gives you freedom and money. Do it because you really want to do it. You know, if you're, the concept, and I'll do it really shorthanded, there are people here that have been in Dan Sullivan's courses for years. I've only read his stuff. I have not done his course. I'm too cheap. But I've met Dan personally, and I understand the concept. And the concept is critical. And it's that if you're spending, you know, more than 10% of your time on stuff you don't like or you're not good at, you're making some mistakes with your life, especially in your case because you're going to go out and freelance. You're going to go create your own environment. And so, you know, some people don't have the luxury to be able to do that. You guys are making a conscious decision to do that. So I highly recommend Dan Sullivan and Joe Polish. You can look them up. You can get, they have tons of information on Genius Network. Joe does interviews with all the best marketers in the world. And Dan, strategic coach, I would say join. And then tell me how it is, because I didn't. Business secret number 8. Reciprocation is about you, then me, then you, then me. And be the first to give service information concessions. I'm sure many of you, if you haven't heard of Robert Cialdini, don't raise your hand and say you haven't. Because as a copywriter, you really have to learn, you really need to read what Cialdini says about ethical influence. But the concept here is that something I saw in the internet marketing world was that the concept of reciprocation was so different when you got into affiliate marketing, and I'll get into a couple of quick details later, almost on the bordering on ugly. And to me, reciprocation is about this. Be the first. Always be the first to give concessions. Gary Bencivenga would tell you never to negotiate your royalty rate. But if you're starting out, maybe you should. Business secret number 9, give Christmas gifts in July, relax during Christmas, or grab the check. I think I can count on one hand the amount of vendors, I'm talking printers, merge purge, anybody who is in business to take me out to lunch has ever treated me to a meal. 30 years, probably less than 5. And every time I get beat, I'm really pissed off. And my father-in-law he used to be a lot tougher, actually. At one time, I couldn't get a check from my father-in-law, so you know, I got friendly with every maitre d' of every restaurant that I ever went to, and I'd get my credit card to the maitre d' before the meal, so that when the check came, surprise, surprise. And you know, as time has gone on, I don't think my father-in-law cares anymore. So it's all about generosity, and that's things, it's money, and it's spirit. Business secret number 10, the only things worth talking about are the things you can't talk about. This is not about putting personal stuff on your Facebook page. That's not what I'm talking about here. This isn't about gossip either. This is a great quote that Marty always talks about, and it's twofold. One is, it's about curiosity. It's about curiosity. It's about always wanting to know more about everything that you're immersing yourself in. And you need to find out the stuff that people aren't talking about. I remember, I'm looking at Paris. I remember Paris was writing a package for us, and he got his best stuff from the editor who didn't want to put the stuff in the publication because they thought it was too controversial. And then Paris almost got us put in jail, but he had good copy. The other part of the things you can't talk about, the only of the things you can't talk about is the moose on the table. Now, you know, you guys would be working by yourself, so it's different. But when you're in an office environment, there's always a moose on the table. There's always like people in a conference room saying stuff, and whenever I see that they're beating around the bush, I always have this vision of like this bloody oxen carcass on the table, like, you know, 3 foot with the legs up in the air, like guts spilling out of the table, and people are just talking like this. I don't know, Marty saying this opened up conversations in our business over 30 years that are just incredible. And to illustrate my business secret number 11, according to legend, Winston Churchill, and I can't believe there is a Winston Churchill here. I said I have secrets from Winston Churchill. I don't even know Winston Churchill, but now I got to go to his session and get his secrets. And by the way, you know, without Winston Churchill, we'd all be Germans. So this guy's pretty important. According to legend, Winston Churchill once asked a socialite if she would sleep with him for £1 million. When she admitted that she would, he offered her £1, and she objected. She said, "Winston, what sort of woman do you think I am? We have already established what you are. Now we're just haggling over price." So, business secret number 11, always remember what you're really talking about, and it's usually the price. Okay. And that's me and Winston Churchill. I was a little younger then, so was he. That was actually at the World War II Museum. He looks a little waxy, doesn't he? Okay, direct marketing secrets. The world has changed. Love this quote. Advertising opportunities are now infinite. Advertising opportunities are now infinite. Think about it, right? You can put an ad anywhere, anytime, for probably having someone pay you. That's a lot different than the direct mail world of $500 or $1,000 direct mail, right? So always have to keep that in mind. I used to love this quote. With infinite opportunities, it's still all measurable, but Mike Shapiro, who did a lot of direct marketing in the print world, he used to say any medium can pay out at the right CPM. Mike Shapiro was the guy, and he sold what I call single-digit media, inserts in the newspapers. And the idea, I used to haggle about should I pay $8 a thousand or $5 a thousand for that particular insert, and it actually made a difference in us being able to do that advertising. That mindset has changed. Now, in direct mail, it hasn't changed, because direct mail is still really expensive. I'll talk about that in a second. Direct mail has not gotten cheaper, by the way. Everybody know that? I'm just checking. There's a U.S. Postal Service. Everybody know who that is? Okay. Okay, so direct marketing secret number 1. No mailer spends enough time on lists. This was Dick Benson. If Dick was alive today, this would read, no marketer spends enough time on lists. Heed this, even as copywriters. I'm not going to tell you that out of this room that you're less important than the audience that you're writing to. You're less important than the audience you're writing to. Understand that audience. Paris is only good because I knew how to do good list selection. His copy was mediocre. No, I'm just kidding. His copy was pretty good. You sat in the front. You're stupid. So anyway, the interesting thing is that this was one of Dick's rules of thumb, and I remember before he died, I said, Dick, you keep saying no one spends enough time on lists. Dick, I spend my whole life on lists. I was a list guy my whole life. He goes, okay, you can say except boardroom. So. And just because email is cheap, it doesn't diminish the importance of the list. I think that's a big mistake that's being made today in online marketing, in that just because email is cheap to send, we don't have to respect the list the same way that we might in direct mail, because we had to pay a lot more to get the message out. I still believe that send the wrong piece of creative with a flawed offer to the perfect list, you can still have success, which makes all of your lives meaningless as copywriters. However, you can get a 50% lift if you write really great copy, and then you're going to have clients for life. But send the best written piece of creative with a perfectly crafted offer to the wrong list, whether in terms of demographics, purchase behavior, hygiene, anything. If it's not deliverable, you're not going to get a response rate no matter how good your copy is. You have no chance of success. No chance. And what's happened as we've moved offline to online, I think the lack of respect for what marketers are doing. I'm not talking about the copywriters now. And these are questions that you can ask your clients. Where are you getting your lists? How often are they being mailed or emailed if it's a house file? Because they'll know that information. And then how are you going to write to them if you think they're being bombarded in certain ways or not being bombarded in certain ways? Of course, lists became really important when we started calling them databases. Then we became legitimate, right? I used to tell students in the 80s and 90s, I'd go on an interview and use the word database 3 times. And there's a better chance you'll get the job. So anyway, Gordon Grossman said to us in 1988. Anybody here was alive in 1988? Excellent. I could ask that question at some of the conferences I go to, and I don't get any hands. This is not a short-term project. It is, however, the future of the business as far as marketing is concerned. He's talking about Boardroom building a database with all of our buyer history and all the records that we have, and to live that database and to understand who to market what to whom. We did all this stuff. It can easily be done in email, and it's not being done for the most part in email. And I encourage you, as you go forth into this world of marketing, is to ask questions about that. He said if Boardroom's not utilizing sophisticated database marketing in the near future, Boardroom won't be in business 10 years from now. And in 1998, we were barely in business, but we were still in business. Okay, that's what I got. Huh? I got to move a little faster. Okay. Is this helpful at all? Okay. You got really quiet. Katie like revved you up. Josh, the last couple of speakers, I thought the room had real energy, and I started talking about like Spinal Tap and Charlie Chaplin movies, and I killed the mood, so to speak, right? Okay, direct marketing secret number 2. Don't define yourself by a channel. So, the Direct Marketing Association, when I came into the business in 1981, when I was 9, that was the Direct Mail Marketing Association, the DMMA. Anybody today, when they say I'm an internet marketer, don't let them get away with that. Not because they're gonna be damned, but basically it's all about multi-channel marketing. And that little case history I gave you about the Treasury of Health Secrets going into an infomercial, let me tell you how all boats rose on that. So when we had a direct mail package for that book that was dead. It wasn't doing well. I'm sure it was a tabloid that was, is David Deutsch here? Yeah, so he probably wrote that one. So why do you sit in the front? Okay, so that tabloid was nowhere. I mean, Treasury Health Secrets had no direct mail. So then we get this infomercial cooking. Hugh Downs is our new boardroom superstar. And all of a sudden we write a tabloid package based on the infomercial with Hugh Downs and it was Arthur Johnson. He's much better than both of you. So Arthur Johnson and Hugh Downs on the cover of the tabloid, and all of a sudden the direct mail went through the roof. And then, lo and behold, we started doing display ads all over the internet. Anybody ever went to the Weather Channel during that time and saw Hugh Downs telling you he's going to lower your cholesterol? You click on that. We had the whole landing page, the whole thing. All boats rose. That's multi-channel marketing. Don't define yourself by a channel. I wish I could. I always say to people, we've crushed it in every. I love that term, crushed it, right? Then I sound younger. We crushed it in every marketing channel. Direct mail, TV, and online. But we haven't done them all at the same time, usually. That's the problem. So Chris Paradise, who I grew up with in the list business, had a quote at a speech he gave. He said, "Nothing scales like direct mail." Where are you going to get 5% response rates? You're not getting 5% response rates on the internet. You don't need to because you're not spending as much, but we still have direct mail. None of those were written by David or Paris either, now that I'm thinking about it. So they've done packages for us that have gotten 4 or 5% gross response rates. You don't get that on the internet. And then nothing scales like it because even if it's a bill me offer and you get a 60% pay up, the business just explodes. However, Chris Paradise, interestingly, who's a little younger than me, but he's old, so I say call me old-fashioned. There's still lots of opportunity in multi-channel marketing. Chris's company is called Paradise Digital. So he now is really more into digital marketing as much as he is into direct mail, but every one of his clients they talk about everything in terms of multi-channel marketing. They don't talk about any one channel. Direct marketing secret number 4. There's no direct marketing business that can survive without repeat business. Okay. So that is a duh for some of you, for most of you, I hope. However, this is on page 6 of the Bible of direct marketing. And interestingly, one of my promises, I think, in the pre-conference stuff was that I was going to tell you the 3 things online marketers do better than anyone, as long as they don't divide. They can't define themselves by a channel. But an online marketer, so one of the things they do, the best online marketers don't want to be one-hit wonders. If they did, they might as well be in infomercials, right? Sell a miracle walk and then they're done. But I think what I've seen online, and the technology sort of backs it up, is the ability to do upsells, cross-sells, downsells, without being, but some people go over the line, and of course, there's a line between being a really good marketer and being a total annoying person. And there's a lot of annoying people in internet marketing. But I think that what I've learned over the last couple of years is that they do that better than anybody when they're doing it well. And it's just so important to watch what everybody else is doing, and then as copywriters, steal smart, which is one of my other things that is coming up. So why online marketers who are not the best fail miserably, in my opinion, is a product is not a business. Anybody know who Chris Farrell is? He's really young. Chris Farrell is brilliant. Chris Farrell is one of the, you should definitely look him up, look at what he does. He's probably the best mind that I've met on doing continuity memberships, how to create memberships. But he got in front of a group at a conference last week and had this quote, and I had to throw it into the presentation. A product is not a business. Now, in addition, a promotion is not a business. And those of you who know John Carlton, anybody know John Carlton? John Carlton's one of the great copywriters, the copywriter curmudgeon, right? One of the smartest guys in direct mail ever. And he will rail on you, on any mailer, who thinks that they get a killer promotion, they get the new video sales letter that lifts response by 200%, and now you're done. You won't be, talk to John Carlton, you won't be done. You're just getting started. You know, we have a sign in our war room that says the control is your enemy. You know? Got a new control, what's the next thing you got to do? You got to beat the control. Direct marketing secret number 5. Everything is not a revenue event, but everything is a relationship event. Now, this is what I've been learning over the last couple of years. In direct mail, you can't afford to make things that don't sell. I think the next, yeah. So Gordon Grossman used to say, never send anything in the mail that doesn't sell something. So I was trained to not send anything through the mail that wouldn't have some return, which is just the nature of the economics. But email gives you a tremendous opportunity to do a lot more. But that doesn't mean you have to sell every time. You know, somehow when I get the same magazine offer 7 days in a row, I know I'm going to subscribe on the 7th day. How about you? Same one, same offer. In my email, 7 days in a row. I won't mention any names. Gordon today, I think, would say never send anything in the mail that doesn't achieve something. So in email, you have to achieve something every time you send something. Gordon used to say that every time you mail to your list, even if you're trying to sell something, you could be diminishing response for something later on. We have, in our database, we have an elaborate history of every single record in our database of how many times we mailed it, the person, how many times they responded, didn't respond, what they responded to, what they didn't respond to. Your clients, your future clients and current clients have, if they're doing what they're supposed to do, especially in direct mail, have that information. In email, they could have it too. It's like 1 billion records to do it in email, but you can get that information. And make sure that, you know, our initial, and I know Jenny's here, you know, Agora, they invented, to me, the email business that says, I'm going to give you lots of value, and then I'm going to sell a lot of stuff to you. And then I'm going to give you some more value, and some more value, and then I'll sell you something. Give the customer more than they ever would have expected. Any direct marketer worth doing business with. There's like 3 phases to this. One is the obvious application is customer service. Going back to my Sports Illustrated football phone, right? You know, the people in those fulfillment houses in the 80s and 90s would, if you saw the, you get a direct mail piece for Sports Illustrated. Use that as an example. And the offer, the premium offer, is, you know, greatest, you know, quarterbacks of all time booklet. And then you buy that, you get subscribed, you get your booklet, and then on TV one day, there's the big TV ad with the football phone. Those customer service people were instructed, this goes back, this is like 1980s. They're instructed that if the consumer calls and says, I subscribed for the stupid book, I want the phone. You give them the phone. It's a given. And in the world of digital content, when the costs are so much lower, and the stories that I hear about online marketers who are maybe defining themselves by a channel, not doing stuff like that, it's just, that's not the kind of direct marketing that I was brought up to do. And it doesn't mean just because you're doing it in email that you stop doing that. The not so obvious application is delight and surprise. So in email, you've got this incredible opportunity to have a tremendous relationship. And as copywriters, you know, you can build in all of this within a whole sales approach. I saw an internet marketer showed me a calendar, a 30-day calendar. He was selling a very it was a high-priced financial product that I didn't understand. It was about tax liens. I had no idea. Somebody would have to explain it to me. However, I was curious because he was very successful. I said, "What do you know? How do you do it?" Content-wise, I couldn't relate to it. He had this 30-day calendar, and he had every day mapped out, like what I'm going to do for my customers every day. Of those 30 days, there were only like 4 times where he was really selling something. It was content, it was video, it was all the things that don't cost very much. And as copywriters, I think you're in a unique position to be able to go to clients and sell them that kind of a package and not just say, I'm going to do a package for an offer. You should do that too. But there's a lot of opportunity here in this area. This might sound really simplistic. I guess it does. To me, it's just it's common sense. I don't know if it resonates with any of you. Now, the application all online marketers need to learn, there are diminishing returns when you pound your customers into submission. There have been. Now, some people in the affiliate world, they're able to, it seems like they can mail their list every single day and just pound them with offer after offer, and for whatever reason, the responses are still there. Maybe I'm sounding like, a broken record, or, maybe it's, my parents, telling me, if you keep doing that, you keep treating people badly, that'll come back to bite you. But it's happened. I mean, it's not that it's never happened, but I think that the affiliate world is so profit-driven, revenue-driven, without understanding these principles of customer service. So anyway, I always want to tell the story about my childhood. I walked 12 miles uphill every day in the snow to work. I couldn't get a picture of a guy barefoot, though. But more importantly, I paid postage. Now you say, oh, big deal. Well, this is a really important point, and when it has resonated when I've talked to online marketing folks about it. When you tell them that you actually really did pay $500, $1,000 to get the message out, just to get the message out. What'd you say? We pay 95 cents. We pay 60 cents online. But the discipline that it takes, and this is where all the old timers will say, I walked up the hill and I paid postage and I know how to get responses. And I think that there's still a lot of truth in that. I think the best marketers I still know are the people who did pay postage, and then how they've adapted to the internet and not just assume because it's cheap that I can pound everybody. Steal smart. Now, stealing smart, notice there's 2 words there. It didn't just say steal. It said steal smart. Stealing smart is a really good marketing technique. Stealing is a felony. So this is a great, Dorothy Kerr gets parked, rush to Denny Hatch. But stealing smart is just so important. A new model, offer, a copy approach a day keeps the old thinking away, and following the anecdotal evidence, it all ties in for me. But I'm always, I have a note on my desk at work that says, I am a new model every day. That doesn't mean I'm looking at porn, Robin. Yeah, I want to hear about some new marketing model and see if I can apply it to my business. Steal from the past. So here's David Deutsch, the famous David Deutsch. Be an advertising archaeologist. There's gold to be dug up in all promotions. That's why the best writers have collections of samples that go back close to 100 years. I have one that's over 2. I have Ben Franklin's solicitation for the Farmer's Almanac. It's got some nice fascinations. That's why the best writers have collections of samples that go back 100 years. Plus, you'll never really understand what's being done now if you don't know the foundation it's built upon. And that's why I gave you those books here, and there's more of those in our library. Steal from the present. Jenny, where's Jenny? I'm going to make Jenny famous one day. Where is she? Oh, there she is. Okay, she's embarrassed. Oh, her face matches her hair. Oh, look at that. Your competitors can be some of the most important allies you have in business. Your competition has the most access to your prospective customers, and you to theirs. This is not just me saying, oh, you got to be friendly with everybody. The Agora boardroom relationship is, we have Agora envy all the time, but the relationship is always about building partnerships, that we both have a list. Marty taught me this. I don't have the quote up here, but Marty taught me when I was selling lists. He said, in the list business, it's not or, it's and. Meaning that if if you're a mailer and I've got a list and you've got a list to sell to you, we're both going to sell you the list, right? So the idea that, and I think I have a next slide. Yeah. So a second thing, online marketers do better than anyone. One of the promises I promised to keep is that they understood very quickly the power of endorsement and coexistence. Now they put that on steroids when it came to some of the affiliate business and the launch business, and it's been very successful for a lot of people. A lot of people have made millions of dollars. I just wonder what the, how much damage has been done to a lot of the best list universes. So I think that it's a very important concept. So then I have Michael Fishman, who's one of my close friends and also started in the list business with me, although he is not willing to admit that he was ever in the list business. Having a brand name isn't everything, but it's something. Regardless, always know how known or unknown you are. When you're writing, you have to always think about that, right? Like what I told you, it's like I knew I couldn't do 2-minute TV for Bottom Line Personal or Treasury of Health Secrets. But if I had 28.5 minutes to tell my story, I could. Doing number 10 packages for a book from a company that you never heard of is a lot different than getting a magalog from Paris telling me a story in 24 pages. Building the credibility, so I knew how unknown my brand was, and I made it known, and that's how we built our database. Online, it's been a lot tougher for us. I have to admit, it's just a lot tougher, because advertising opportunities are now infinite. Whereas in direct mail, I could hone down, I could do a lot more. So that's been a real growing pain for a company like Boardroom. Also, just so you know, he doesn't have it up yet. MichaelFishmanConsulting.com is his website. He's going to do a conference next August. He's going to call it BehaviorCon, C-O-N. And so it's a take on, obviously, on Comic-Con. But Michael is really into the whole idea of behavior and how consumers behave. I can't think of a better conference for copywriters than that. So at some point, I'll send the information, and then you can. I will not get an override on that. Direct marketing secret number 8. Publicity, public relations, and branding. I used to always say those things give me hives, right? Direct marketers get hives when they think about publicity, public relations, and branding are still dirty words. But with infinite advertising and social media, free is still free. And so what I'm learning is that I've had some consultants come into our office and talk about branding, and whereas 10 years ago I probably would have kicked them out, now I'm realizing that I have a lot to learn there because we don't have a good brand on the web. And how do you get there without spending a gazillion dollars? There's no bottom line swoosh, unfortunately. So I really feel like that getting a strategy, which I'm not a strategy guy. I'm a tactical guy. I get ideas, I test them, they work, they don't work. That's what the serial direct marketer does. And I have to tell you, you can all be my psychiatrist. So it's tough. It's really hard for me to think strategically when I've thought tactically for 30 years and done pretty well. So, I don't want to kill everything on branding, but it's really important. Public relations and publicity I can keep that one out. Free is still a magic word. I love Stephen Wright. What is a free gift? Aren't all gifts free? Everybody know who Stephen Wright is? One of my favorite comedians. My favorite Stephen Wright joke has nothing to do with this presentation. He says, how he does the deadpan. He goes, so I walked by a convenience store and it said open 24 hours, and the guy was closing the store. I said, why are you closing? He said, well, not open 24 hours in a row. Direct marketing, that wasn't a good Stephen Wright. Direct marketing secret number 9. It's not about long copy or short copy. It's about effective copy. Okay. I'm done. Okay, that's all I need to do, right? There's nothing more you guys need to know. And this short copy, long copy, as we've hired more people who've cut their teeth in the online world, they're appalled by the length of our copy. They're not appalled when they see some of that long copy beating the short copy. But it could go the other way too. So I'm not saying that one is the right way, but it's not one or the other. It's still not one or the other. He can compress the most words into the smallest idea of any man I know. So I'm not a copywriter, which you all know, and as you've heard me speak, it's clear that I'm not a copywriter, right? But a few things I just want to leave with you on this. Respect your elders, steal from the past, which I've kind of emphasized. I'm not saying live in the past. I say borrow from the past, steal smart. Testing and technology is magnificent online, but when I say don't get sloppy, this is what I say to the internet marketers. The thing that we did a launch online, and I remember we were testing like 2 headlines, and we were able to test it on the fly, like really fast, and I was amazed how quickly we could get that test done. And then they said, oh, A beat B, 12 orders versus 8 orders on $39 offer. I'm like, that's not, I was an English major, and I know that's not statistically significant. So there's a lot of sloppiness about calling controls. You should be in the position of being able to ask those kinds of questions. Understand the math of direct mail, and then understand the math of email marketing as well. Don't get lazy because email is cheap. I think I've emphasized that enough. And it's not about selling more, you know what, to more people. The reason why I put that slide up there, I went to an internet conference, and literally the guy's slide, the first slide of his presentation was how to sell more shit to more people. Can I say shit? I already did. I didn't want to put it on a slide, though. How do you sell more shit to more people? And so my first question for him during the Q&A was, do you like your products? Do you like your products? And he actually answered the question very, very well. He started getting really passionate. It was a fitness product. And he was actually very passionate about this workout program that he developed. And I'm like, wow, now that's the guy I want to buy from. I don't want to buy from the guy who's thinking only about selling more shit to more people. Direct marketing secret number 10, the best package is the best package. You have to believe your numbers. I've kind of been all over that, but that's on our war room wall. You know, you're doing testing. If it's statistics, make sure you have somebody who understands the math, who can do the A/B splits correctly. And don't make tiny tests. Don't test things that are too small, that aren't going to give you the leverage and give you the lead. Okay, I'm going to get to my life secrets. And then I talked about on-the-fly testing. And I want to tell you about my amazing skill. Since having followed the teaching of Benson Grossman, I have predicted, believe it or not, every test result in my career with 100% accuracy. You guys amazed? After I have the results. Direct marketing secret number 11, there's always one more, right? There is still important stuff that was written and created in the last century. Schwartz, Benson, Grossman, Jamie, that's Boardroom's Mount Rushmore. There's just so much stuff out there that you can still use, even though, Gene Schwartz's Breakthrough Advertising was written in 1966. Not one word has been changed. I think it's 100% relevant. How many people here have read Breakthrough Advertising? If you haven't, you must read Breakthrough Advertising. You don't even have to buy it from me. I'll give it to you. It sells for $95. We saw it on eBay for $950, a real bid. That's when we republished it. So life secrets. I'm going to do these quickly. Because direct marketing and business secrets are much more important, right? Not really. Life secret number 1. So I promise to tell you how to avoid dysfunction in your business and personal life. This sits on my desk facing out because I still have employees. You're trying to not have employees from what I gather. The only consistent feature in all of your dissatisfying relationships is you. So you can use this anywhere you want, but anybody who is coming to you with a complaint about 6 different people in the same conversation, got one consistent feature there, right? Okay, life secret number 2. And this is another tip to avoid dysfunction. Quitters never win, winners never quit, but those who never win and never quit are idiots. Now, this is from despair.com. You should go to despair.com. You have the greatest cards and sayings. So the thing about this, though, for me, is that I'm a victim of this. I don't think I'm a quitter, and I have been a winner. And what my problem now, that issue for us about going from serial direct marketing to the online world where not everything is going to pay for itself immediately, this is tough for me. Because I'm still going out trying to sell books on the internet and trying to sell things that may not even sell there. So I gotta quit on some of that stuff. So I'm guilty as charged here. Life secret number 3. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt said that. I saw it on a poster in a museum in D.C. before I saw it in a fortune cookie. And then Eleanor updated just for you copywriters. One of the reasons we struggle with insecurity is because we're comparing our behind the scenes with everybody else's highlight reel. Really important. I thought this was a great quote, and I think you want to think about that as you're looking at the superstars and looking at their portfolios. Think about that, and so you got to stay motivated even with whatever failures you're going to have. Sean Stevenson, who's a wonderful guy, a good friend. I love everyone because as soon as I don't love you, you own me. So it's in the life is long thing, but the people that I've always had the most angst about in my life, and it's not a lot, are the people that I started not liking, that I didn't love them anymore, and then all of a sudden it's like it was taking it out on me. So take that one and use it as you wish. Life secret number 5, another reason why Winston Churchill matters to you, not just because we'd all be German, and this applies to the marketing wars. I think I gave this one to Denise in an email yesterday or today. Nothing in life is so exhilarating as to be shot at without result. I love this. I mean, it's so, sometimes, and it's funny because you talk about email versus direct mail. Email, you put it out there, it didn't cost you anything. But I think that it does have negative. And that my whole point about, every time you go approach a customer or a prospect that you might be taking away a response later on. I think I know I've stressed that quite a bit here today, but it's one of the most important things that I can leave with you. Life secret number 6. By the way, I don't have 11. This is Winston again. We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And I've seen a lot of people use this in their presentations, so I figured I'd use it too. And it's on my wall. There won't be 11. This is number 7. Dream big. So Marty used to always say to us, you only go through life once, so you might as well be the world's best. And I went to a conference last week. I think that's the next quote. No, this was really good. Simon Sinek, who has one of the best viewed TED speeches, said he made I have a dream speech, not I have a plan speech, talking about Martin Luther King. And then this one, Marie Florio, who's a wonderful consultant, she actually coaches women entrepreneurs, and those women in the room, and men too, but women especially, you should definitely look up marieflorio.com. She's phenomenal. And she started her speech and said, everybody write this down. How would you behave if you were the best in the world at what you do? And you think about that as a marketer, it's like if you were the best in the world at something, would you do the same things that now you might be motivated by profit more than passion? And one last inspiring story. People who come to your funeral will be really, really sad. I am going to guarantee that, okay? I also will tell you that after the service, someone's going to turn to someone else and say, I'm hungry, let's go to Denny's. So, I don't want to get into the whole life is, meaningless thing. Because you're ready to embark on a career that is going to take you to new heights and you're going to enjoy every day before that. But that's the whole point, isn't it? So anyway, go forth, as Don Leiby used to always say at the end of his speeches, go forth and multiply. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a great round of applause for Brian.